السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وأرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابها وادخلنا برحمتك في عبادك الصالحين. آمين يا رب العالمين. Welcome everybody to another halqa on our series Fiqh of Financial Transactions. And just for a reminder for us and the benefit, whenever I start a talk, I like to, the dua that I always repeat, one of the du'as is that we ask for beneficial knowledge, right? When Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam كان يستعيذ بربنا سبحانه وتعالى, he used to seek protection in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from many things, and one of the du'as is Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min ilmin la yanfa'. Ilmin la yanfa', right? Different interpretations on the meaning of ilmin la yanfa', but it could be knowledge that is not beneficial, meaning some useless knowledge. There's some knowledge out there that is useless, okay? But also it means knowledge that does not end up in action. Because al-ghaya, the hadaf, the goal of knowledge is what? To store it in our brain? No, it's for action, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to mainly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to ask us about the actions we did, not the knowledge we gathered, right? طبعا knowledge helps us make the right choices to take the right action. لكن العلم بلا عمل مصيبة. العلم بلا عمل مصيبة. Knowledge without action is a big problem, huge problem, right? I'll finish with this. It's narrated that this young man used to go to Aisha radiallahu anha to get narrations from her, right? Aisha has some of the largest amounts of hadith, and she gave him some hadith. And then he comes the next day or a few days after, and he wants more. He wants more. So she asked him, did you apply what I gave you before? He said no. So she said to him, why do you want to increase, the hujjah against you in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Like the liability in front of Allah. Now you have more liability, right? That doesn't mean, don't seek knowledge. It just means increase your action. And whatever we learn, you try to apply it. But now in Fiqh of Transactions, we can't apply everything. But whatever you learn, try to always to apply it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us beneficial knowledge. طيب, let's start. So the goal, inshallah, is we're going to try to go all the way to the adhan of Isha, and we can pray Isha, inshallah, right after, 5 minutes after, bi'idhnillah ta'ala. طيب, as usual, we like to do some muraja'a. So الأسبوع الماضي, the last lesson, we covered the topic of نعم. Starts with ha. Give me the Arabic first. Al-Hajr, right? And Al-Hajr is what? In your own words.
Preventing somebody from spending his money with waste.
Yeah, so I think the legal word is interdiction, or basically, freezing that person's assets, okay? And the only one who can do that is who?
The judge.
Yeah, and we said that al-hajr is, or al-hajr, al-hajr, with the fatha, is two types. Who can remind me the two types? Yeah, I already told you it's two. Yeah, hajr lil-nafs for the protection, okay, for the sake of that person, and the hajj li-ghayr, right? Lil-ghayr. Meaning people, this person, okay, he owes people money. So we freeze his assets, okay, the judge freezes assets so that the others can get their money back. So, lil ghayr. And we covered that last week. Inshallah, this week we're going to cover al-hajr lil-nafs, for the benefit of that person himself. What do you mean? How does that benefit the person? You're going to see, inshallah, that there are cases where freezing the assets, okay, of a person is for their own benefit. Tamam? So we said there's two kinds, yes. We talked about the types of debtors, the people that owe money. And we divide them in three parts, or three types of people, three types of debtors, right? And I think this is important to keep that kind of information. Who are the three? تفضل.
The first one who has a debt, but he has more ways to pay his debt.
So the first one has a debt, and he has enough, or what?
More than
More. So he has he has a debt, he has the money to pay it off, or even more. Tamam? Okay, so that's the one who said he's mali. Yeah, someone who's mali, mali is like full, or he has what he needs and more. So that's the first one, the mali. Who's the other person?
other one who has debt and can pay part of it.
Yeah, so al-muflis, okay. طبعا muflis can mean bankrupt, okay. But this guy doesn't have enough, so he's in the negative. So that's what they mean by al-muflis. طبعا the first guy, he's supposed to pay it. Al-ghani or al-mali, ghani or mali, whatever you want to call him. Ghani meaning wealthy. That person has to pay his debt, right? When the due date comes. The second person is the muflis. We say bankrupt, okay, insolvent person. And so this person, what do we do with him?
Just give him.
فَنَظِرَةٌ إِلَى مَيْسَرَةٍ. Or like, yeah, this one, did we say we give him time, or we freeze his assets? Huh? We do freeze his assets, sorry, yeah, so checking you're awake. So this guy, we actually freeze his assets, okay, because he has, and we take from what? So we do hajr on this person, okay? We do hajr on this person, and obviously the other person, if he doesn't pay it on time, we'll do hajr on him, the wealthy one. But this one we will freeze, and we'll take whatever he has, sell it. When I say we, meaning the judge, not me and you. The judge will freeze, take whatever he has, and distribute it between the debtors, right? The creditors, afwan, the creditors or the lenders. Jamil. And the third one is who? Al-mu'sir, right? Al-mu'sir min al-usr, difficulty, the one who's in difficulty, right? وَإِنْ كَانَ ذُو عُسْرَةٍ فَنِظْرَةٌ إِلَى مَيْسَرَةٍ. If someone has difficulty paying it back, then you give him some time. You give him time. We don't jail him, we don't tie, we just give him time. Is the debt gone off his dhimma? No, it's still in his dhimma. Whenever I say the word dhimma, think of like it's on his neck, it's on he's liable for it. Tamam? And I don't know if I mentioned it last week. In the Sharia, you can never, like here legally here in the country, if somebody had a huge debt, right, they can file for bankruptcy, which means what? What happens? Does he have to pay all that money eventually? He owes $200,000, okay, and he's like, I'm gonna file for bankruptcy. Does he have to pay the $200,000?
No.
Huh? No. So in many cases he doesn't. He'll just have to pay like a small portion. Okay, I remember reading upon it. Small portion. He will lose his credit score or something like that. He won't be able to buy anything or credit card for a few months or a year. Yeah, 7 years. He won't have. Jazakallah khair. That's good to have someone in the. You're in the financial field or. Okay, mashallah. Jazakallah khair. So yeah, so 7 years, 6-7 years, he won't be able to do that kind of. But he won't have to pay it. So here, is Shar'an is allowed to do bankruptcy? Huh? What do you guys think? I'm trying to put some contemporary. So the government, are they forgiving him?
Yes.
The banks. So isn't that what happened? Is that what's happening here?
Yes.
So the Sharia says if the creditor is forgiving, then no problem. Okay, no problem. That's why Shar'an, when we say al-mu'sir, we give him time. Or we said when the muflis, the bankrupt, if we take like 50% of the money or we take all the money he has, okay, and we distribute it, and it's still not enough, the debt's still on him, and we release the hajr, we release the legal holding of his assets and etc. or insolvency or solvency, and then we give him time, but it's still debt, okay. Here, if someone would have to confirm it. If the government here or the creditor, whoever it is technically forgiven, then Shar'an it's not a problem for for that to happen. طيب, Jamil. So, what else did we cover last week? Can you do Hajar al-Muflis? We said Muflis, you can, but on the Mu'sir, you can't, right? The Muflis, he has some of the money, so we do Hajar on him, okay? And then we take whatever he has. What happens if another lender shows up after the ruler distributes the debt? This was one of the last questions we covered. There's four people, four creditors who are looking to get their money, okay? The hakim or the judge has frozen his assets. He sold whatever he can, and he has given the money to those four creditors. Then another guy comes now. He's like, hey, I was also part of the deal, or also he also owes me, and he proves it. What do we do now? What happens? What did we say? Yeah, we said he goes to the other four, and he gets his money from those guys. طبعا if he can't, he will have to go to the hakim, and the hakim might call those four back and redistribute it if he can prove that his money was due that time. تمام. طبعا if your money was not due, then you will not get money from this Hajr. You will not get money from this Hajr. Yani if the Hajr is done in February and your money is due in July, okay, you will not get money for now. You will get money later when he gets more money. طيب, Jamil. So today, inshallah, what we want to cover two more aspects basically. We want to cover the second type, al-Hajr لحظ النفس, right? لحظ النفس. So we want to talk about the freezing of asset or freezing of wealth of someone for their own benefit. Who might that be? What do you guys think? Who might that be? Who might be a person that, yeah, like some kid, okay, or it could be a yatim, an orphan, someone who has wealth. You might say, what do you mean he has a business? He's like 8 years old. No, so some inheritance came. He's some rich, father or grandfather or whatever relative that had inheritance, or somebody gave him a gift, or I don't know. How else can he get money? Is there other ways to get money? Whatever it is. Who else? Safih. Someone who Safih. How can you define a Safih? Yeah, someone who's like not mature, not financially mature, doesn't have, okay? Or someone who's majnoon. Majnoon يعني he's insane. Someone who's insane, okay? وطبعا the Sharia does this for their own benefit, okay? Does it for their own benefit. And there's also a societal benefit. What's the societal benefit? Does everybody understand the personal benefit of that person? صح? Because they're going to regret spending that money. They don't have the maturity to spend it. Okay? But what's the benefit for the society? If they don't have the assets to take care of themselves, the society has to take care of them. Yeah, like they might do some, okay, imagine someone who's safih, okay? Safih, foolish, immature, and he doesn't have, and then, he gets money and he goes spends it on crazy parties. I don't know, he brings in drugs or whatever it is, weapon. So he could be a liability for the community, right? He goes gets drugs, he gets alcohol or something, and then maybe he might be legally here. The age is, but when it comes to rushd, we'll talk about rushd here. Maturity. It's not about the age. Bulugh, we're going to talk about the signs. Okay, bulugh, someone who's mature. In the Sharia, yeah, it could be age, right? We'll talk about the signs of bulugh. But when it comes to financial ability, okay, is he Rashid or not? That's not about age. It could be someone who's a sheikh, an old man, but he's not someone who knows how to spend their money, and he doesn't know how to spend it. So then now what's interesting about this kind of hajr is you don't need a qadi to do that. You don't need a hakim or a qadi to do that. Let's read inshallah. So, as usual, we'll read the Arabic and then we will go through the. Oh, by the way, the question last week about the shares, right? We talked about common shares. Was your question, right? And preferred shares. So, and I said it's most likely what? Yeah, most likely not Sharia compliant, right? So I actually did some research. I also talked to Sheikh Hassan about it. And The problem with these, and I tried to kind of get more information about these type of shares. The problem with these shares is that, you are basically trying to guarantee, you're getting profits, first of all. One of the things that I read about them is that it's almost like you're guaranteeing profits, right? You're guaranteeing profits regardless of how the company does, right? And you can't do that, Shar'an. You cannot guarantee profits. The profits have to be correlated with the performance of the company. Tamam? So that's the first red flag. That's a problem. The second red flag is that they're guaranteeing their profit before the other shareholders. And in musharaka, that's not allowed. That's not fair. Okay? That's not fair. So there's two problems with that. So AOFI and other financial regulators, Sharia regulators, they don't see this as Sharia compliant to have those kind of shares. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. طيب. Another thing I wanted to mention, sometimes we confuse confuse between debts and loans. Debts and loans, right? So they're not, are they synonymous? Like, are they exactly the same? A debt and a loan? He thought that, so that's why he thought it was. Are they the same? Because the ruling can change. What do I mean by that? Let me kind of give you an example of the difference. Okay, if I go to Saad and I say, Saad, I need, can you lend me $1,000? Okay, and I'll pay you back next month. I haven't got my paycheck, whatever. Okay, we agree. So this is called a loan, right? Now, I said I'll pay you back next month. Does he have the right to next week call me and be like, I want my money back? Shar'an, he has the right. Okay? Type. So that's a loan. Because remember, when we were talking about al-Hajr here, we said that the person whose due date is later, he has to wait. Here we're talking about debts. What do you mean debts? What's it? مثلا, I bought a car off you, okay, and I haven't finished the payments. So now this is a debt, okay? This one is the one where, gotta wait. Okay, we agreed that, we made an agreement on the sale that the deferred payments will take place all the way until December. Okay, so you don't have the right now to call me and be like, hey, I want my payments, because we made a contract and it's a financial transaction. So that's some of the fuqaha, they make a difference between those. Does that make sense? Okay, just in case some people get confused about with loans and debts. With loans, I just take a personal loan. Okay, that's purely from his goodness. There's no benefit here. But the other one, there's a benefit it's a transaction. He sold the car, right? And he got I got the car, he got the money. So there's a benefit from both sides. So he should respect the you see the difference? Just to have that. طيب, let's start. So فصل في المحجور عليه لحظه. So this is for the mahjur, for his own protection. So he says here, يقول المؤلف رحمه الله ويحجر على الصغير والمجنون والسفيه لحظهم. Okay, so hajr is done, okay, on three kinds of people. على الصغير, when you hear صغير, someone who's not baligh, young person who's not mature. Okay, we're going to talk about what how do you know if he's mature? Okay, على الصغير, number one. والمجنون, majnoon, okay, someone who is insane. Okay, majnoon, by the way, comes from the it's related to the word jannah, okay, or jinn. All those words, it's something to be covered. So his intellect is covered. Majnun, he cannot make proper choices. Was-safih, we said safih is like the foolish person or person who's not mature. He makes bad decisions. طيب, لحظهم, for their own protection. And then he says, وَمَنْ دَفَعَ إِلَيْهِمْ مَالِهِ بِعَقْدٍ أَوْلَى. So whoever now gives their money, okay, you give your money to a صغير, young kid, okay, or a majnoon, someone insane, or a safih, someone who's foolish, okay, وَمَنْ دَفَعَ إِلَيْهِ مَالِهِ بِعَقْدٍ, with a contract or not a contract. Yani you wrote a contract or you just did it without a contract. Okay. رَجَعَ بِمَا بَقِيَ لَا مَا تَلِفْ. He can get back, okay, what is left, not what is gone. What does that mean? Yeah, so if you did business with, with a safih, with some foolish person, okay, or you did business with some child, like, there's a kid, and he's like, hey man, let's do some business. I'll sell you these rocks for $2,000. You're like, oh wow, right, okay, and then you give him, and then he goes, spends the money. You cannot get it back because aslan you were not supposed to do business with a saghir. Yani you should have known, right? This is the benefit of seeking knowledge. Yani, now if there's some money left, you have the right to go take it back, okay? Because aslan this transaction didn't take place because the person is not legally, okay, allowed to make these kind of transactions. رَجَعَ بِمَا بَقِيَ لَا مَا تَلِفْ. So whatever is gone, he used it, he lost it, he traded it, it's gone, you can't get it back. Naam. And then he says here, okay, وَيَضْمَنُونَ جِنَايَةً وَإِتْلَافَ مَا لَمْ يُدْفَعْ إِلَيْهِمْ. So now he's going to talk about what if a crime was committed? What if a crime was committed? Okay, here he says that يضمنون, يعني they are responsible for that. وإتلاف ما لم يدفع إليهم. Okay, and whatever they might have ruined or destroyed with that item or wealth. Okay, and it's going to go back to the father or the family. Let's read. Bismillah. So طبعا here we're talking about the mahjur or the mahjur عفوا. Al-mahjur alayh is the one who is the one who's prevented or restrained from doing business or using his assets. So we said there are two kinds: those who can only be prevented by a Muslim judge. This is another way to look at the two kinds. So there's those who can be prevented by a Muslim judge. We talked about them, right? And then the one who can be prevented without the command from a Muslim judge for their own interest, لِحَظِّهِ, which is what we're going to be talking about. So you don't need a judge for this, okay? You don't need a judge to freeze the assets. Who's responsible to do it? Right? It's the person who's responsible for them. So even here, like someone who's insane, do they live by themselves? They have rent and stuff. Do they live by themselves? Or they have a guardian? They have a guardian, okay? Al-Saghir has a guardian. They have a guardian, okay? Al-Majnoon, they has a guardian? Has a guardian. Safi has a guardian. All these people should have a guardian, tamam? So that the guardian will be the main person responsible for them. طيب. So they are the ones who are responsible, okay, in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and in front of the judge for doing the actual hajr. So hajr is done for the following, for their own protection, even without a command from the Muslim judge: the child, the insane, and the foolish, right? One who spends in an immature manner. طيب. طبعا, if there's a disagreement, someone says, well, I'm not foolish, okay? Then they would go to a hakim or a qadi, and then they will determine, okay, if this person is foolishly spending, right? Because you can tell from their spending if they have like crazy credit card debt, whatever. So maybe they might be able to bring it in front of a qadi. And then it says here, whoever gave the above three types of individuals his wealth, whether as a contract or not, then he can only request back whatever remains and cannot claim what was lost. Okay? Because these three are not considered responsible for wealth management. Okay? We said that they're not responsible. You're not supposed to do business with them. Okay? You're not supposed to go make business with someone who's majnoon. He's insane, or he can't think for himself. So example, a person gives $1,000 as a trust to a child to hold on to it for a month. I don't know why you would do that, but okay. Then when he goes to retain it, he finds out that 500 is missing. He can take the 500 back but cannot request the rest from the child because the child is not considered responsible for wealth management. Okay? This is seen as the owner's fault because he should have known better. Tamam? And maybe we should check if he's safi, right? The person who did a transaction with someone that young. طبعا, if the kid's hiding it, of course, it's your right to take it back. Okay? The kid can't just be like, oh, he knows fiqh, mashallah. You're like, oh, I'm a safi. Puts it in his pocket. and he's like, oh, that's all that's left. MashaAllah. See, knowledge can benefit you even. Allah musta'an. طيب. But yeah, if you find your money there, then you take it. If you can't, and it's proven that he spent it or it's gone, it's lost, then you cannot get it back. However, this is only when the owner gives wealth to one of them himself, because right, if the actual owner does it himself. Because if they take the wealth themselves without the owner's permission and then lose it or destroy it, and then they will be held responsible through their guardian. Yeah, so he's only responsible, okay, and he will only not be able to take back all of his money if he actually is the one who made the decision. But if مثلا if Safih or a Majnun, whatever, took their wealth, then obviously we deal with them like a normal person, but we don't deal with them directly, we deal with who? With the guardian, with the wali, and with the guardian of that person. طيب. However, they are considered responsible for the following, for crimes. So that's what he said here. وَيَضْمَنُونَ جِنَايَةً وَيَضْمَنُونَ جِنَايَةً. نعم. The commentator Sheikh Ahmed, he says here, لو أتلف التلميذ شيئا في المدرسة أو مالا لجاره فإنه يضمن من ماله إذا قدر على مال له. نعم. وإلا بقي في ذمته إلى حين بلوغه ولا يطالب أبوه بذلك. So what's he saying here? If someone like young, or if someone who's young, تلميذ, in a school, he's saying that if he breaks something, like or from the neighbor or from the school or something like that, if he has wealth, it's taken from his wealth, the child's wealth. If he doesn't, then it's he will have to pay back when he becomes بالغ. ولا يطالب أبوه بذلك. So they're not going to go after his father. I guess this would be only for the صغير, because the صغير you expect him to be able to pay it after, okay. Yeah, Allah alam. But I mean, this is one of the things that Imam is mentioning here, which is interesting. In most cases, I think even here, the guardian will pay, right? Obviously, the guardian will pay here if your kid does something. Otherwise, we'll have chaos. Yeah.
My mom used to send me to the grocery store to get milk and stuff when I was a kid.
Yeah. So your mom used to send you to so he's saying that his mom used to send him to the grocery store. To buy milk or whatever. And you were how old? Not baligh. So is this allowed, Shar'an? What do you guys think? Naam? Allowed. طيب. Anybody else? All of you did it, right? I mean, nowadays nobody, parents don't send their kids to,
She sends them to buy milk.
Yeah, so in small transactions, this is okay. In small transactions, like milk and stuff like that. And غالبا, like in like this was in India, or was it here? Okay, Saudi Arabia, yeah, especially like Saudi Arabia and other countries like that.
My child sometimes go to the store by
نعم. These are, like I said, the fuqaha, they talk about these small transactions, and the parents, the child knows how to transact, he knows how to count, he knows, so he's Rashid from the angle of the finances, right? Because we're going to talk about bulugh, maturity, and then financial maturity, which is al-rushd, and and if he's insane or not, right? So here the small transactions are fine, they're allowed. But if he went to do some huge transaction, that would not be allowed. It would not be accepted. And this is something within the norms. And even sometimes the child doesn't even pay money. Like in some of the countries, the baqala, they have they have the thing. Abu Muhammad, he add another 5 for Abu Muhammad, and Abu Khalid, we add another 5. So they know, and they have a book, and they add these things. Halib, khubaz, all these things, no problem. ما في مشكلة. Yeah, that's fine. It's a good question. Now, so he says here, so crimes, except crimes that result in hudud, right? So if there's one of them does something, then of course they're going to be considered responsible for that, like a had, a jinaya, something that has a punishment, a crime, or has hudud such as murder or theft or something like that, okay, this only relates to the foolish one. The other two are not responsible, okay. This only relates to the foolish one, as-safih. The other two are not responsible, I believe, because the wali would be responsible here, right? And then he says here they cause destruction with something that was not given to them, okay.
If a majnun committed a crime, should he punished or not?
The majnoon, if he commits a crime, is he punished? What do you guys think? In Canada, yeah. Well, like just a few years ago, someone chopped up someone. Now told them.
For example, we have some insane people in our country that sometimes they walk naked. That's a crime.
Mm-hmm.
And there are insane people that kill people. So the type of the crime will change. And what is acceptable from an insane person, and what is not acceptable.
What difference does it make if you punish the majnun or not? It has no, like, what's the end result of the punishment? He doesn't understand why he's being punished.
No, طبعا if the majnoon is a khatar for the society, then he would be jailed for sure. But would the had be implemented on him? Allahu a'lam.
If he assigned a guardian, that would be better than being jailed. But being isolated.
If the guardian is liable, like if the guardian is responsible for that, so a majnoon would not be allowed to do, to have a knife in front of him or something like that, or a gun with him or whatever it is, right? We're talking, let's say in the case of a I don't know, an injury or a murder, right? طبعا when we get to jinayat, our last part of fiqh, maybe in a few months, we will talk specifically about who's responsible. But if the wali he فرط في حقه, he was negligent in his responsibility, he will be held accountable for that, because it was his responsibility to watch over, right? Just like it's the responsibility of a teacher in a classroom to watch over a child, or the company for protection of the employees, or whatever it is, the person who's in charge, they're responsible for for the people who are under them. Here, if it had something to do with the wali, then he will be held responsible. Now, trying to see if
Adults and they do some crimes, the wali is still responsible because he can't control him like anymore. I know a case back in Egypt is like a boy is mentally disabled, but he's very strong. Like he needs 5 people to control him.
Mhm.
He used to do bad stuff. And
This is sorry, a صغير or a majnoon or?
no, he's majnun, kind of majnun. But he's like physically he's very strong. Like he can do stuff.
No. Here they will be punished. The question that we're saying is, the actual majnoon is punished, or the wali, the guardian of the person. Because the whole point that the mu'allaf wants to say is, when you deal with a majnoon or safih financially, and you're the one who gave the money, then they're not responsible. Do you understand? But if they did something, okay, like a crime, or they destroyed property or something, they will be held responsible. Now the question that we're asking is, who's going to be responsible? That person or the wali of the person? Okay, and like I said, if the wali is negligent in some way, then of course it will be he will be the one that is punished for it, depending on what it is. If it's a serious jinayah, then then there will be that. It will be up to the qadi. طيب, then he says here, ومن بلغ رشيدا أو مجنونا ثم عقل ورشد انفك الحجر عنه. So now in فكاك الحجر, when do we take off the hajr? So okay, we have a young boy who has money, wealth, okay, and the one responsible, the father or whoever it is, has held his wealth. It's in an account, okay. When can we remove that? Okay, when can we remove that hajr and be like, hey, here you go, man, here's your 10,000? Or when can he ask for it? Okay, so it says here, وَمَنْ بَلَغَ بَلَغَ became mature, okay, رَشِيدًا, and he's also rashid, financially mature as well. أَوْ مَجْنُونًا, يعني أو ومن بلغ مجنون نعم ومن بلغ رشيدا أو بلغ مجنونا ثم عقل ورشد. يعني someone who's matured and he was majnoon and then basically he got healed and he became sane, okay, and he's financially able, then only and only then the hajr will be removed. انفك الحجر عنه بلا حكم, يعني without need of a judge. You don't need to go to a judge and خلاص. If we can prove that he's mature, okay, شرعا, and we can prove that he is financially able. We're going to talk about what that means, okay, financially mature. Or if he was insane and he became sane, and he can prove that he's sane, then خلاص, he'll be able to get possession of his wealth. انفك الحجر عنه بلا حكم, and you don't need a حكم. وأعطي ماله, and he's given his money. لا قبل ذلك بحال, okay, and yeah, you cannot give it to him before that for any situation. And we get this from the ayah in Surah An-Nisa, فإن آنستم منهم رشدا وابتلوا اليتامى, right? The ayah وابتلوا اليتامى, test the yatama, the orphans. فإن آنستم منهم رشدا, if you feel, okay, like they have gotten some maturity, okay, فادفعوا إليهم أموالهم. فادفعوا إليهم يعني give them their money. Give them their money. It's their money. And this is a فعل أمر, and this is wujuban. If they meet the condition, this is something that is wajib for you to do. You cannot, if a father says, no, I'm going to keep your money, okay, he doesn't have the right to do that. If the child is mature, he's baligh, he's Rashid, he's not insane, then he doesn't have the right to do that. طيب, let's read. So, he says, when a child reaches puberty and maturity, or an insane becomes sane and mature, okay, the hajr can only be lifted, okay? Yeah, can then only be lifted only when that happens, okay? So if we said when a child reaches puberty and maturity, number one, or an insane becomes sane and mature, the hajr can only then be lifted, okay? The maturity part is required as well, and just reaching puberty and sanity alone does not suffice. So they have to come together, okay? So it's not enough for someone to reach puberty and he's not financially mature yet, okay? Or someone to be sane and he's not financially mature yet. All of them have to happen together. This is why you need to test them to see if they are mature enough or not. Yeah, you have to test them. And we'll talk about how to test them. So how would you test them? Yani, you can give them some money. MashaAllah, his mom gave him some money. She gives him $10 and she tells him, buy me, what can you do with $10 these days? Just milk, right? Buy me milk and a loaf of bread and and that's it. That the milk and the loaf of bread is going to cost $7.50. Okay, he goes, gets the milk and the loaf of bread, and he brings back no change. So what do we say now about that? He's not mature yet. Okay, but he brings $2.50. Okay, not just once, a few times. You do a few times and I go, خلاص, mature. But he brings another $10. Then he's a businessman or a thief. طيب, جميل. So he says here, وأعطي ماله. So here he says, if they continue to show immaturity, then keep testing periodically until they show maturity. Generally, for kids, start early training before puberty. So yeah, and this is good parenting to train. And just moving aside from fiqh, I think one of the biggest problems when it comes to finances is that this skill of money management, okay, is not really taught in school. It's not taught in school, right? Saving, budgeting, all those things, making money, business. It's not taught in school, and probably intentionally, okay. But financial literacy is so important. So at a young age, a good parent will start teaching their child financial responsibility. Okay, you teach them, okay, how to earn money, how to pay money. The child, you start taking them, go get milk, go get this, okay, go put some sadaqah there. You give them $5, go put sadaqah. You're teaching them how to deal with money. He's like, Dad, I want to buy a Switch, okay? Okay, son, how much is it? $20? No, Dad, it's $700. Okay, you want to earn that? So yeah, you want that? You have to earn it yourself. Oh, Dad, I'm not old enough for a job. We have a lawnmower. You have neighbors. Let me show you how it's done. You show them. You teach them how to make money, and then you'll see that they will mature. And someone like that eventually can take care of their money. Tamam? So, and then when we say maturity, he says here it can buy and sell without anyone swindling and cheating them. Okay? We tell him go buy milk and we know the milk is $4.50. He comes back with no change and he's like, oh look, Mama got you milk. Where's the change? Oh, the milk is $10. No, it's not. Who told you it's $10? Oh, the Abu Muhammad, the seller, he told me it's $10, right? So that means that he doesn't know prices, he doesn't understand. So that's not a good sign. طيب. He does not spend on prohibited things. Yeah, that's another sign of financial maturity. You give him money and then he's like spending it on like useless things. Okay, that's a sign that he's not financially mature. He does not spend on things that have, he doesn't waste. Generally, he knows how to count, how to, kind of the idea of prices, and doesn't spend his money. He's not easily tricked, and he doesn't spend it on haram things. These are the things that would show maturity. تفضل.
The person who smokes is considered safi?
The person who smokes, is he considered a safi? That's a good question. Why would you consider him safi? Because he's spending money on something that's harmful to him. ما رأيك؟ He's safih financially, or he's safih for another reason? Because here we're talking about financial for financial reasons. Because otherwise we're going to do hajr on everybody. Right? If we were to let me tell you, like if I give you someone who has 2 credit cards, okay, and they're over 50% used, okay, the credit is 50% used, what would you say about this person in terms of like credit score? Good credit score, bad? Huh?
I exceed 50%, but I pay every time.
I understand, but if nowadays, like you as a creditor, okay, how would this guy be like an A or a B or a C in terms of his they rank them like that, right? A, B, C, or like double A, huh? That's the score, right? Something like that. It's a number. Yeah, the credit score, yeah, but okay, خلاص, okay, Jamil. Let's go with the number. 750 is good or something. 800 is good. Huh? 900 is really good, huh? That's the goal. That's when the bank will give you like $500,000. طيب. So if someone has like 4 credit cards and they're like 60% used, would this person have a good credit score? So this person would be safi.
It depends on if he pays every time on time.
You want to see how regularly you pay, and if you pay on time.
Okay, Jamil.
Exceeds a limit,
طيب.
every time, it doesn't go.
Okay, but nowadays there's people who are like, especially like in when things are tough, and sometimes people have that, and sometimes out of necessity. They might call it necessity, whatever you want to say, out of necessity. So are we going to call them sufaha? Look, the smoking thing, طبعا بعض الفقهاء they said tahrim, okay, and some of them went with karaha. I'm just putting the opinions on the table here. I'm not saying it's okay or not to smoke, but some of them said tahrim, prohibited, okay, a sin, and some of them said karaha, okay, karaha it's disliked, okay. So someone spends money on something that is disliked, and he's responsible for, he pays his bills, he takes care of his family, all that stuff. Can we call him safi? I don't think we can call him safi. Why would you?
Usually if he smokes, and he, like some people, when I go back to Egypt, they are heavy smokers, and they ask me for money, like loans and other stuff. So I don't see it a good idea to do, like, if he stops smoking, he will be in a good way financially, right?
Yeah, this is a good question. Like, it's a great area. I think the hakim will have to know how to determine if someone's safih. And this is something that is flexible with time, okay? We have lots of people now, they're in debt and they're buying, and they're spending crazy money on eating out, مثلا, okay? Would you consider that person safih? I think this goes back to the fuqaha of these times. And maybe in that time, something like that would obviously be someone who's buying things and has duyun. That would be someone be safih, مثلا. and all he does is spend money on useless things, then yeah. But if this guy, yani, he pays his bills, takes care of his family, and he spends some money on useless things or makruh things or even haram things, then I'm not sure if someone can and who's going to do hajr on him. The only way someone could do hajr on this person, he would not be from this category, by the way. He might be from the category of lil ghayr. Why? Because maybe the family will go to the qadi and they will say, our husband, yani my husband is not spending, or the wives is not spending on us, and he's buying these useless things. Okay, then yeah, maybe the qadi will do something about it. Okay, he'll warn him or freeze his assets or whatever. Yani he will find a solution for them. But I don't think you'll be able to justify just because someone is buying like cigarettes. And it's very subjective, صح? It's very subjective.
The problem is usually they start at young age, right? Right when they don't have the maturity enough, but as they grow, now the addiction starts.
You're talking about addictions, smoking, yeah.
I think the addiction it's more than addiction than sabah or something like this.
Yeah. So that's another angle. The person is mudmin, yani he's addicted. But obviously, it would be recommended for him to go get help. Yani. And addictions are different levels. Yani. Someone spends money on cigarettes. What's a pack now? $10, $10.50, 11, 12? Okay. The fact that nobody knows the price is a good sign. Or you're too shy to tell me. So that?
For the cigarette thing in Iraq, we had the Mufti of Iraq in the 70s, 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, it was still there was this debate about cigarette being haram or makruh or halal.
Mm-hmm.
So two of the shuyukh went to him to dispute.
Mm-hmm.
Is the fatwa haram cigarette or makruh cigarette? And he was smoking, so he said, this case needs a cigarette.
The qadi was smoking, right? Don't you remember the days when doctors used to make ads for cigarettes? You guys seen those ads? Like doctors, medical doctors would recommend people to buy cigarettes. So, يعني طبعا فتاوى can change on time, but يعني I don't think it would be considered سفيه. والله تعالى. طيب. Jamil, let's go now to the part about what are the signs of bulugh? Okay, maturity. We covered this in tahara, right? I think, or in salah. Did we cover this before? It's been covered before. طيب. So what are the signs of maturity for a male? Yalla. How many are there? You guys are mature, right? You should know. How did you know? What are the signs of maturity? So how do you know someone's has hit puberty? There's only 3 ways. One of the 3 ways. Nah. Okay, so someone has like a wet dream. Okay, so he has imna. Okay, ejaculation, male, female. Okay, what else? Hair in his face? Is that a sign of bulugh? Can you medically get facial hair before maturity? Huh? So it makes a difference. Yes, because if you tell me it's like armpit hair, the fuqaha will not accept that. It's specific hair. Yeah, so in the pubic area. It has to be in the pubic area. And I have a hadith, we have a hadith here, I'll share it. And then the last one, the Hanabila, they say, if none of those show, okay, then we wait till he's 30, 40, like how are we going to know? 15 years old. تمام. So he says here, وبلوغ ذكر بإمناء, okay, وبلوغ ذكر بإمناء, يعني بإمناء يعني when the يعني which is ejaculation, okay, when the fluid comes out, either involuntarily or voluntarily, يعني it could be a dream, or if he does it himself. If he does it himself, even that will count as a sign of bulugh. So first is إمناء أو تمام 15 سنة. So if he reaches 15 years, we'll talk about why. أو بنبات شعر خشن حول قبله, or if يعني thick coarse hair grows in the qubul. Qubul is the front, meaning يعني the pubic area. Okay, and then he says وأنثى بذلك, and the female just like that. What's extra for the female?
Menstruation.
Yeah, وبحيض. Okay, menstruation. وحملها دليل إمناء. He's just saying here that her pregnancy is a sign that she can have imna as well. Okay, and let's read the hadith here. He says here that about the 15 years old, he says here لحديث ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما عرضت علي نعم عرضت على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يوم أحد. So Ibn Umar is saying that on the day of Uhud, okay, he was brought to the Prophet ﷺ وأنا ابن 14 سنة, and I was 14 years old. فلم يجزني, he didn't allow me to go to Uhud, because the condition to go to fight is bulugh. Okay, so he didn't allow me. Okay, and then he says فلم يجزني وعرضت عليه يوم الخندق, in the war of al-Khandaq, وأنا ابن 15 سنة فأجازني. So in the battle of al-Khandaq, the battle of al-Ahzab, he was brought to the Prophet ﷺ, and he was 15 years old, and the Prophet ﷺ allowed it, muttafaqun alayh. Okay, so this is the proof that the Hanabila use for 15 years old. طبعا usually before 15 they hit, right? They hit, something will show. But the fuqaha here are saying, well, what if nothing shows? Like, is it medically possible? Anybody here can tell us? I don't know if it's medically possible someone reaches that age, and I'm not sure.
I think it depends on the area, like the hot area.
So whatever condition it is, the environment, the DNA or whatever it is, has a condition. They say, well, we have to figure out how to show maturity. So they said this hadith is the only proof we have. And it's a decent proof, I think.
I think there's another hadith about another young Sahabi who wanted to go to one of the
Battles.
battles, and the Prophet didn't allow him. But then someone else came who was younger and good in archery and stuff.
Riba, yeah.
So this Sahabi went back to the Prophet and asked if he's younger than me and allowed, I should be allowed. I can beat him in a wrestle. So they wrestled and he got accepted as well. So there we didn't see any of those signs. The Prophet didn't see any of those signs. Rather, it was a wrestling or.
Do we know the ages of those two boys? I know the incident you're talking about.
There's a hadith like that. There's an incident like that.
Yeah, so I think it would be interesting to look at that.
Allowed first, then he got allowed after wrestling. So.
Yeah, so but we don't know why he wasn't allowed. I think it's good to look into it. You're saying he was allowed first, then when he wrestled and fought, the Nabi Sallallahu allowed him. And yeah, I remember the story. Yes. It'd be interesting to look at that. That might be a proof for the others that said that 15 is not good enough. But this is the Hanabila. They said that this is good enough proof for us. But most of the time, you don't have to go to that. Yani people usually reach maturity much, way before that. And I think now, the puberty rate now is like even going like down. Is it down or up? Anybody here? Huh? Faster, right? They're maturing faster. صح? Like even like I heard stories like girls are able to get pregnant like really young now, like 10 and 9 and Allah alam what they're feeding them. Allah alam, it could be environmental factors. طيب جميل تفضل.
For the first hadith, the Prophet didn't ask him for his age. So probably the Prophet was looking for signs on his face or head.
احتمال بس النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم was very close to Umar رضي الله عنه, and Ibn Umar obviously so I don't know the Prophet probably knew. ما أدري. That's why هذا احتمال. This is not a very صريح دليل it's not a very clear دليل, but it's for them it's the only thing they have, right? Like we go with the levels of strength of proof. The fuqaha, they always try to go to some kind of text before they go to aql, the mantiq, right? So if someone came and said, well, we have the hadith that he mentioned, and he's I don't know, how else can you prove? Like, I mean, I don't know. But it's not saying that he has to reach 15, by the way. What's it saying?
There's no sign that
If there's no other signs, tamam. And it's not like in the battlefield he's gonna be like, how can you prove the first two? Like, but here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing. Look at here. Nabat sha'r al-khashin, the thick hair, coarse hair. Look at this hadith here. He says here, الأمر الثالث, the third way is أن ينبت حول قبله شعر خشن أي قوي, يعني a lot. And والدليل حديث عطية القرضي. It says here عرضنا على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يوم قريظة. Remember the story of Bani Qurayza, right? So they were Prophet فكان من أنبت قتل. Because remember what the final agreement was, that they would what? Because of their treason, they were killed the males, the adult males, and they left who? The women and the children, right? So how did they tell? Like, what are you going to do with the teenagers? Like the 11, 12, 9, what do you do with them? Someone's going to be like, oh, I'm a child. Like a big guy comes and says, I'm a child. So how are you going to prove? So they have to find, so he says here, فَكَانَ مَنْ أَنْبَتَ قُتِلْ. Whoever had like that hair, so I guess they had to check. That was the only way to check. Because if you're going to be like, how old are you? Like it's a life or death situation. I ask you, how old are you? You're going to choose what? The age that gets you killed, which is like 16, 17, 18, or you're going to choose a younger age. You're going to lie. And there's no mafi passport, mafi driver's license. So the only way to know is this other way. Tamam? The third way, al-imna, you cannot figure it out, obviously. The only way is to check. So they checked them. So he says, so فكان من أنبت قتل ومن لم ينبت خلي سبيله رواه الخمسة. So, right, so that's another way to check. But obviously, I mean, because of the Prophet ﷺ didn't do that in the battles, obviously, for reasons. But these are the signs. And then, so signs a male has reached puberty, any of the following are sufficient. Ejaculation reaches the age of 15 in lunar years. This is important, tamam, because there's a slight difference. Not a lot, but just a slight difference. Growth of hair around the front private parts. Signs of female is exactly the same thing. And al-hayd, menses, right? And the menses. So that's how you know someone is baligh. And we said, so we know how someone is baligh. We know how someone has financial maturity, okay? The only thing we didn't discuss is how do you know someone is sane, right? The only way to know that is probably through some medical doctor, right? Like they're gonna tell you like this person is majnoon or not majnoon. طبعا the wali, the parents usually know, but whatever. If they're not sure, if they want to know this guy is not, obviously nowadays we have these resources to know if someone. And the level of junoon is different levels, right? It's different levels. So some people, they need full 100% someone with them all the time. And some people can actually rent and get a job, but they still need someone to watch over them, right? And that's here, that's everyone. تفضل.
What if from the vendor's point of view, how does he know if they're sahih or majnoon?
Sorry?
From
What?
the vendor's point of view, if they would be responsible for selling to a majnoon or sahih, how would the vendor know?
Or the seller or the vendor. How would they know if someone's safih or majnoon?
there is a contract, there is witnesses.
This is for small things like baqala, halib, khubz, or you're talking about like a big. You can tell when you're talking to them. Interview your vendor, your seller, car salesman, right? And you see a little kid coming to you. Even if you see like a teenager, even if you see like a 20-year-old, you're like, oh. Obviously nowadays you would check credit score for big transactions, credit score, all those things. The way you talk to them. You talk to them and they're talking like foolishness. Give me all your cars. Like, give me all the cars you have. This is a red flag. So there's signs. So majnoon you can tell, right? Majnoon you can tell right away when you talk to them, right? They're looking different ways. They're like, they have some issues. They're not understanding. So I think you can tell. Do you guys agree? Huh?
Repetition as well.
Repetition.
Like there was a Majnun in one of the cities
Mhm.
dressing up like Imam.
يا حبيبي. There was a Majnoon who was dressing up as an Imam, and he would, yeah, and he would repeat what? He would repeat like and people let him lead. Huh?
Like people would recognize him because one of the times he ran away in the middle of the prayer.
Oh, he just ran off.
Prayer.
So there's signs. طيب, let's keep going. It says ولا يدفع إليه ماله حتى يختبر. Yeah, you don't give him the money until he's tested. Yeah. So you have to وابتلوا to test him. Okay. حتى يختبر. Okay. Yeah. وابتلوا اليتامى. That's the ayah that we mentioned. وابتلوا test them. Okay. حتى إذا بلغوا النكاح. Okay. So يدفع إليه ماله حتى يختبر. So you don't pay. ولا يدفع إليه ماله حتى يختبر بما يليق به. He says here whatever suits him. Some of the fuqaha, they said, well, if his father is a like a painter or whatever, and whatever his trade is, he tries to get him to do something that. But it's not necessary. Whatever يليق به. يعني he's a young age. You start slowly. Something that suits him. يعني you don't bring a kid يعني who's just high and you tell him go do some big transaction, okay, buy a land or sell a land, and if he's not able to do that, you're like, no, you're not baligh yet. No, يعني it's not like that. It's something that suits him, okay. ويؤنس رشده. Yeah, and his rushd, his financial maturity is recognized. So you don't give him his money until he's tested with something that suits him, and you recognize that now he's mature, financially mature, okay. ومحله قبل بلوغ, okay. ومحله قبل بلوغ. This is done before bulugh. Yeah, they're saying that you should do this before he's baligh, okay, so that when he is baligh, okay, you can see if he's financially. Now that's what I was saying. You train them before. Some of them are saying, what are you talking about? All our kids are broke. Nobody has money. We don't have to train them. But anyways, train them. Train them. And a lot of you, or some of you, you've put some savings account for them, some educational, whatever it's called, their educational account, right? The government طبعا has hajr on that anyways, right? Until you apply for university or you reach 18 or something like that, right? So that's a type of hajr aslan by the government, okay? والرشد هنا إصلاح المال. Look what he's saying here. الرشد here is إصلاح المال, is to use money properly, okay? The Shafi'iyya, by the way, they have another condition. They say he has to be religiously Rashid as well. And he has to be someone who's like praying and stuff like that. The Hanabila say, no, it's not really, we'd like that to be there, but it's not really conditional for us to give him his money, unless he's safih. So if someone like he's safih, he's spending it on haram things and whatever, then maybe. بأن يبيع. So he says, okay, what does it mean إصلاح المال? بأن يبيع ويشتري فلا يغبن غالبا. So he buys and he sells and he's not cheated. Maybe he was tricked once, but not غالبا, all the time or many times. ولا يبذل ماله في حرام. He doesn't spend his money in haram. وغير فائدة. We kind of mentioned that before, right? And without any benefit. So his wealth is not to be handed over him until he is tested with what suits him, and his sound judgment is recognized. Ar-rushd. This testing takes place before he reaches puberty. So sound judgment, rushd, here means the proper management of wealth. That he buys and sells without being predominantly cheated, and that he does not spend his wealth on anything unlawful or anything without benefit. Tamam? So you give him money and he comes back with like a suitcase of Pokemon cards. You're like, oh, okay, whoa, what's this? Like, give me the money back, give me the credit card, give me the... Khalas, he's not Rashid. طيب. Then he talks about now the guardianship. Who's the wali of these people? Okay, so he says here, وَوَلِيُّهُمْ حَالُ الْحَجْرِ الْأَبْ, the father, ثُمَّ وَصِيُّهُ, then the one that he appointed, okay, the father appointed, maybe in a wasiyah, right? ثم الحاكم, then it's the hakim, the judge or the ruler, okay? ولا يتصرف لهم إلا بالأحظ, and that person who's responsible, the wali, is only allowed to spend بالأحظ. إيش يعني بالأحظ? With that which benefits them the most, okay? ويقبل قوله بعد فك حجر في منفعة وضرورة وتلف لا في دفع مال بعد رشد إلا من متبرع. We're almost done. So he says here, let's talk about it. So now you have this child or Safi or Majnoon who's got all this money saved up, okay? طيب, until he reaches puberty, until he reaches sanity, okay? Until he reaches financial maturity, who's going to take care of this? Okay, so that's what we're talking about here. Okay, the guardianship of the money. The following can be guardians during the time of Hajr. Okay, it should be in the following order. So the father is first. So a young kid has some crazy money. Okay, the first one who should be the wali. Okay, the guardian is the father. Is al-ab. ثم وصيه. Okay. Then the trustee. يعني مثلا لو مات الأب, if the father died, in the wasiyah he says, this is the person who's gonna implement my wasiyah. مثلا, it might be the uncle, it might be like al-am or al-khal or some really close friend. Then and he will say he's the one who's responsible. He's the wali. So that's someone who's put in the will usually, right? تمام. So the father's trustee. If there's none of that, then it will be the hakim. The hakim, the judge, will be the one who's responsible over the wealth of that child. Tamam? How does it work here? Anybody know? How does it work? If someone is, a child, father dies or something, and there's no will, مثلا.
Here is the father or the
Government takes it? Naam?
The father, the mother, they are married. They are separated. One of them will be legal guardian.
The legal guardian.
Next of kin.
Next of kin. Implementer of the will? You mean like a will? Okay, let's say like for father and mother die, okay, and there's no will. What happens to the wealth? Next of kin. Jamil.
But it's very complicated, like going through the court system. That's what I heard. It's not like you could easily do it.
طيب, here he says ولا يتصرف لهم إلا بالأحظ, because in the ayah of Surah An-Nisa, if you remember the ayah, فإن آنستم منهم رشدا فادفعوا إليهم أموالهم ولا تأكلوها إسرافا وبدارا أن يكبروا ومن كان غنيا فليستعفف ومن كان فقيرا فليأكل بالمعروف. What's it talking about? It's talking about like you are in control of their wealth. طيب, are you allowed to spend it? Yes or no?
Within reasonable bound, like you can spend it on.
Okay, so whoever is غني فليستعفف. إيش يعني يستعفف? يعني stay away. Someone who's wealthy, he doesn't need to spend anything. He does not touch the money. ومن كان فقيرا فليأكل بالمعروف. If you're someone who's poor, like subhanAllah, like this is the Sharia. Look, يعني the Sharia is going to protect the wealth of the child while the wali is poor. Okay, it's still the money of the child. But the Sharia says, listen, because you are taking care of the money of this miskin, yatim, maybe it's a yatim, right? You're taking care of the yatim's money, and you're poor. Okay, yani if you die and the money's going to get lost, somebody's going to take it. So you're allowed to take some of it for survival. Bil ma'roof, okay? And what about investment and putting it into stocks and all? That's why they say bil ahad. And the person who has wali has to be someone who's sane and mature. Obviously, all those conditions go, okay? And he can only do something for his benefit. Tamam bil ahad, okay? So I mean, there's different ways to say. Whatever there's a maslaha in it, whatever there's benefit in it, he can do. Okay. طيب, now let's say there's a dispute now. This is what he's going to talk about, right? Let me just read this one. Guardians should take care to do whatever is in their best interest, meaning the guardian needs to be cautious. Yeah, he's not going there like investing in real estate, مش عارف إيش, and he's like, oh yeah, it's his money, it's not my money, and whatever. No, he needs to be careful, يعني. He's not like buying bitcoins left and right and then selling them to save, and he loses money. He said, "Oh, I was just trying for his." No, you need to be very careful. Like, what if the dispute happens? So now, like, you take care of the money of this miskin, of this yatim orphan, and now the orphan reaches maturity, okay, and then he looks at like the financials, and he's like, "Whoa, how come you only gave me 200,000? What happened?" It says here, "My father left me 400,000." Okay, and he's looking at the thing, and he's like, "What happened to the 200,000?" So now what happens in this dispute? Okay, so if they go to a qadi, if he says, "Okay, yeah, I admit this happened, okay, and I put it in this trust, and the economy crashed, I couldn't do anything about it," or he says, I put it in some investment, it's my fault, I'll pay you back. They do sulh between each other. Happy ending, no problem. But there's dispute. Nobody wants to, do sulh. So they go to the qadi. Now he says, وَيُقْبَلُ قَوْلُهُ بَعْدَ فَكِّ حَجْرٍ. So قوله يعني قول الولي. So now the wali, the guardian, his qawl will be taken in court, okay, في منفعة, okay, في منفعة. So he says here بعد فك حجر, يعني after the hajr is removed, so the guy is mature now, okay, we will take his word في منفعة. ايش يعني في منفعة؟ يعني if it was for a benefit, يعني he said I did it for a benefit, we will take his word unless there's a bayyina, there's a proof. Because if it's just he said, she said, are you going to take the word of a baligh or the word of someone who was not even present, right? So you take his word. Could it be wrong? Yeah, but he's going to take yamin. He's going to take yamin. So في منفعة وضرورة. Okay, darura, like an emergency. Like if he says, there was an emergency and I had to pay for some extra security, and I took $10,000 to put cameras around the house because there was burglaries and stuff and the cash was in danger. Okay, darura, okay. وَتَلَفٍ. He says, مثلا, this property, this car that your dad left, hailstorm came on it, and okay, it's not my fault. What am I supposed to do? Okay, and we take his word for that. He says, لا في دفع مال بعد رشد إلا من متبرع. لا في دفع مال بعد رشد إلا من متبرع. Okay, not if he paid the money after, the child is mature. He says إلا من متبرع. Al-Mutabarri' is someone who does this. So the guardian can be two kinds. You can be a guardian who's doing it for free, like a father or an uncle, someone who does it for free, or it could be someone who's paid, right? And we have that. Like this person is paid to watch over. Okay. So is there a difference between both of them? There's a difference, right? Like if someone has an incentive, if someone is getting paid, he's more likely to lie or or to try to save his own skin. But someone who's mutabarri', the only reason you did it is what? Because you care about the person. You are more expected to tell the truth and to care about the wealth of the person, the child or the majnun or whatever. Because asal it was mutabarri', you were voluntary. But someone who's being paid, then the incentives are different, right? طيب. And then, so he says here, if a dispute occurs between the guardian and the mahjur after the hajr has been lifted, then it falls into one of two categories. The guardian's statement is the one that is accepted. The guardian's statement is not accepted. So let's talk about the accepted. The guardian's statement is the one that is accepted if he claims one of the following reasons. So for benefit, if he claims for benefit, it will be accepted, the guardian's statement. Okay. So مثلا, Ahmed claims that when he was young, his guardian wasted his money. However, the guardian claims that it was only for Ahmed's own benefit. The guardian's statement is the one that will be believed. Okay. Because when Ahmed was young, he doesn't know. طيب. What about necessity? He says necessity as well. If the guardian says it was for necessity, we have to take his word unless there's proof, right? So example, Zayd claims that when he was insane, his guardian unnecessarily wasted his money. However, the guardian claims that it was due to necessity. The guardian's statement is the one that will be believed. Also in the loss of some wealth, his word will be taken, the guardian. Example, Ahmed claims that when he was young, his guardian purposefully lost his money. However, the guardian claims that he invested it on his behalf, but the investment fell through, thus he lost it. Okay, it was not done on purpose. The guardian's statement is the one that will be believed. Tamam? And he's in front of Allah, Allah knows his intention. Like, this is where the guardian's statement is not accepted. Okay, return of wealth back to the mahjur. Okay, and that's what it means here. لا في دفع مال. So if now the guardian says, I give you your money, and the yatim now who's mature, he says, no, he never gave his money. Whose word are we going to take? Now we take the word of the yatim. Why? Naam? Yeah, but look at the incentives here. Who's the one that's more likely to lie? Yeah, the one who's getting paid to watch over the money. The one who's getting paid to watch over the money, he's more likely to lie because he doesn't care about this. And unless he's mutabarra. Okay? But here we take the word of the yatim or the saint who was majnoon before, right? So return of wealth back to the mahjur. Example, Ahmed claims after the hajar has been lifted from him that his guardian has not handed him over his wealth, but the guardian says that he has already done so. In this case, Ahmed is the one that is believed. The qadi will say, unless there's proof. Like if someone brings a receipt, yeah, okay, obvious, okay, but if there's no proof, we take his word. The fuqaha, they always say like, we take this person's yameen or this person's yameen if there's no bayyina, if there's no proof. But obviously if there's a proof, receipt, then that's stronger than someone's statement. طيب, the exception here, if the guardian was doing his duties for free as a volunteer, that's what we're mentioning. In this case, we accept the guardian's statement because he's doing that as a trust and there's no reason to suspect him. And the last thing is, so talking about slaves. So what about a slave? If a slave goes and takes a debt or loan or borrows money or whatever, who's responsible? So he says here, وَيَتَعَلَّقُ دَيْنُ مَأْذُونٍ لَهُ بِذِمَّتِهِ بِذِمَّةِ سَيِّدٍ. Okay, so مَأْذُونٌ لَهُ. So we have a slave. Okay, we have a sayyid who's the master, and we have a abd who's the slave. Okay, so it could be someone who's مَأْذُون له, given permission, like this. The master says to the slave, listen man, go borrow from this person, go buy this thing. So he's مَأْذُونٌ له, he's been given permission. That one, it goes back to the dhimma of the sayyid. Whatever happens, the debt or whatever it is goes back to the master. But what about the slave who does this without permission? غير مأذون له. Okay, this is where it gets tricky. Okay, why? Because if he does it without the permission of the master, okay, he's still under the master, like he's still property of the master. Do you understand the problem? So he says here, وَيَتَعَلَّقُ دَيْنُ مَأْذُونٍ لَهُ بِذِمَّةِ سَيِّدٍ. Okay, so the one who has permission, it's with the master. It's on the neck of the master. وَدَيْنُ غَيْرِهِ, okay, وَأَرْشُ جِنَايَةِ قِنٍّ نعم وقيم or وقيمة متلفاته وقيم عفوا, yeah, this is the plural, وقيم متلفاته برقبته. So now he's saying, but the one who has no permission, okay, this will be taken out of his it will be taken out of the compensation for his offenses, okay, or the value of his whatever he broke, like he broke whatever, okay, it can be taken out of the sale of that slave, or the master has to sell him, okay, and pay from that money. Eventually it kind of goes back to him because he's the one that is responsible. So if a slave falls into debt with permission from his master to deal in financial matters, then the master is responsible for the debt. That's what we said here. Example, a master tells his slave that he can go to the market and buy stuff on his behalf. The slave buys something on credit for 1,000. In this case, the master is responsible to pay it off because he permitted his slave to spend the wealth. Good, makes sense. If a slave had not been granted permission, okay, this is the tricky part, from his master and falls into debt, then the master is technically not responsible but still must take care of it. How? Otherwise that particular slave of his will be sold and the amount will be taken from his sale, from the sale price of the slave. So he's saying here, so the master is still kind of responsible. If he doesn't pay it himself, then that slave will be taken and sold, and money will be taken from the sale of that slave to pay for any damages or any jinayah, any crime that he's done, or any debt that he has taken. Does that make sense? So it kind of, at the end of the day, goes back to the neck of the master, right? And so, obviously, being a master, it has its own, responsibility. Okay. So same rule if the slave either damaged property, okay, or there's a fine for a crime that he has done. Okay. So, like for example here, blood money or whatever penalty it is, if the master doesn't want to pay it off, then the qadi will take the slave, sell him, and then pay from the sale of that slave. And obviously, if it's not enough to pay the damages, then it's going to go back to the master. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. That's really what we wanted to cover for today. It's Isha time. We can do that then, inshallah. Any questions?
Yes, I have one question.
Quick question. Yalla, bismillah.
So let's say if you go into transaction with someone, right, whilst they're sane at a particular time, like let's say you're trying to purchase a land or something, right?
And then they became insane.
And then it became insane in that particular instance. So
You made a deal with someone who was insane, or who was sane, and then became insane.
and then it became insane.
Ah, what do you guys think? Tfaddal.
The contract is still valid, but the guardian will take care of the completion.
That makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. So, so is the contract valid? That's the first question. Jamil, so we have a faqih here. Is the contract valid? It was valid because it was done when he was sane. طيب. طب now he's not يعني طبعا if the deal is done and done with, no problem. But if there's some payments to be done still, okay, he's not sane to do it. So obviously the sane person, he has to be appointed a wali, okay? Then the wali will be responsible for that. Ahsant, inshallah. See. Perfect. Barakallahu feekum. Inshallah, next week we'll be talking about wakala agency, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.